It's an update. More blood found at murder suspect's home. This one is per Atlanta Black Star. An amended criminal complaint states blood was found in the home of accused murderer, 33-year-old Maxwell Anderson, who allegedly killed and dismembered 19-year-old victim Sade Robinson after he took her on a date. Happened earlier this month. The blood, however, doesn't belong to Ms. Robinson, and at this time, there's no information on exactly whose blood it is, but it's raising more concern. Anderson appeared in court Monday for his preliminary hearing, where he pleaded not guilty to intentional homicide, mutilating a corpse, and arson. For Fox 6 News Milwaukee, during the hearing, Assistant District Attorney Ian Vance Curzon reminded the court of the updated complaint, stating, it indicates that the preliminary DNA supports the conclusion that there is no support for inclusion of Robinson's DNA in the blood or swabs that have been tested. Anderson was taken into custody April 4th, 3 days after he was last seen with Robinson. Investigators searched his home. They found blood on bedding in one of the bedrooms and on the walls leading toward his basement. They also found several gasoline containers.
With millions watching and many people benefiting from this program called Indisputable, we just need 1% of the viewers to become a paid member so we can continue to bring this content to you. Now back to the show.
Now, investigators connected Robinson and Anderson through text messaging, witness statements, surveillance footage that revealed they went on their first date April 1st. Surveillance video from a bus showed Anderson get on near where Robinson's vehicle was found torched in an alley. And he then rode to a stop near his home. Robinson was reported missing the next day. Soon after, authorities found several human remains belonging to Robinson at a Lake Michigan beach park. One of her body parts was also discovered a block from where her car was found. Investigators used phone records to trace Robinson's phone to a local seafood restaurant she and Anderson visited, then to a bar and Anderson's home. They also traced her phone to the local beach park where her remains were found. Surveillance footage also showed someone in a car matching Robinson's going from the car to the beach multiple times late that night, according to reports. So let's talk about the weeks since, because a lot has gone down. Since the murder, family members, friends, volunteers have scoured the shores of Lake Michigan. They're searching for her remaining body parts. Just last week, someone found an arm and a torso along the lake's shoreline. Court records show Anderson, pictured here, prior mugshot, was arrested 3 separate times for disorderly conduct between 2014 and 2019. A bartender and Navy veteran, also recently arrested for operating a vehicle while impaired. His criminal history does not connect him to any other murders before Robinson's. Anderson remains in jail. The bond is $5 million. During his Monday hearing, he requested a jury trial. His next court appearance is May 16th. Boy, this is a difficult one. Milwaukee Journal Sentinel reports, citing the state's DOJ database, that the disappearance and murder of Robinson has brought attention to the missing cases of other Black women in Wisconsin, including 2 open cases from Milwaukee County. 16-year-old Ayana Prashanowski, she's on the left. She went missing March 29, 2023. 16-year-old Janiyah Walker on the right. She disappeared June 23rd, 2022. Sentinel reports that since January 2020, 4,814 women ages 18 to 99 have been reported missing to law enforcement and entered into the nationwide database. You know, Woz, this is obviously a gruesome story, horrific. I can't imagine. The one detail that jumped out at me is family and friends searching along the lake for more of her remains. She goes on a first date, and this is where we are. 3rd week of April, right? Not long after. What jumps out at you? And I do want to get to the part where there seem to be other missing Black women who have not gotten perhaps, and this is an old story, but have not gotten the attention. But your initial reaction?
My heart goes out to the Robinson family, obviously. And what jumps out to me is the importance of having loved ones and people who are checking in on you, who are constantly thinking about your safety and well-being. Is this person sick? Why haven't I heard from them? Like, has something happened? And because Miss Robinson had these people in her life thinking and caring about her, they could jumpstart this search ASAP, and the quicker the authorities can get involved and start piecing together, the last known whereabouts of a victim, the likelier they are to get to the bottom of this. And that's what I think about, like, people who sort of end up living on society's edges, who don't have people looking for them all the time, thinking about their well-being and their safety, who can end up being the most vulnerable. Man, it's obviously a harrowing situation for her family. As you mentioned, people finding her remains on the freaking shoreline. But I wonder, man, if she didn't have people in her life who cared about her and were checking in on her on a daily basis, would this guy even have been found to be doing this stuff? That's what jumps out to me, the importance of having family and community.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's so many people that when they go missing, sadly, not enough, or sometimes no one notices. What do you make? Because I'm getting tired of this part. And it's not the media's, well, it is the media's fault, but it's not the journalists in this instance fault for pointing out that, oh, it's bringing attention to the plight of other missing Black women. Here we are again. Here we are again. We haven't moved beyond that. I know, having spent enough time in newsrooms, why we haven't moved beyond that. It gets exhausting being that one voice who says, nope, sorry. Why are we ignoring this, but giving this light? How about you? Are you tired of it? Are you empathetic to at least continuing to call it out?
It's interesting because it's one of those problems you wonder what the solution is, right? How, like I feel like resources tend to go to the places that the authorities feel pressure to apply resources to. And that pressure has to come from the majority of the citizenry, right? And how do we knock on each citizen's door and be like, yo, the next time a Black woman goes missing, you guys need to care, and scream at, like, how do you do that work? That's why it's hard for me to feel frustrated, because I'm like, what is the actual remedy here to get, the population at the high enough fever pitch that the authorities feel pressure enough to treat every single case sort of equally? And let's be clear too, the cases that police tend to pour resources through, trust me, it's not homeless, drug-addled white women. It's white women that come from middle to upper middle class, if not wealthy backgrounds, who go missing. They don't look up disenfranchised white women that might have grew up in a trailer park, white women living on the fringes of society. They don't bring their resources to bear for the white people at the bottom of the pecking order. They bring it to bear for the affluent, for the people that have the resources themselves and are therefore proximate to the power structure. That's who they do it for. And it's kind of sad that this is the state of things for us.
It is. I will say this, I agree with you. Economics, people who have a voice as opposed to those who don't. I do tend to believe that if a middle of America, white, blonde woman goes missing. That's far more attractive to members of the media than if her Black or brown counterpart goes missing. That said, having been in these newsrooms, you're exactly right. Authorities, they're going to do what they're going to do. But we in the media, I always felt like you could paint a picture and make people at home care. They're making dinner, they're doing homework with their kids. But there's a moment in everyone's life story where if you're a good journalist and you're a good storyteller and you pay attention to details, I, as a person, could care about anyone. Once I got in there and just started digging and digging, we can tell their stories and make them care. Figure it out. We're going to move on, but we'll keep following the updates there. As we said, absolutely horrifying. Victim, her family.